we started seeing it also in Afghanistan. Remember when when the Taliban, just before before the conflict started, blew up those statutes. So we've seen that time and time again, and there's no way of saying how can we protect these cultural treasures who belong to humanity.
Now let's have a look at independent lawyers on the line. High-speed rail plan faces 10-year delay. This is about the HS2 idea, the £33 billion line intended to get people across the country in a very quick way. From day one, it's been fraught with massive opposition and problems. And I must admit, I live not too far from where this line's going to go. So the local media where I am is obsessed with it, and some would say rightly so. But this looks like this could be a serious delay because of the opposition. They're all coming together, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's part of living in a democracy. You can appeal against things. But the project is a good project, and it's precisely what we need. We need investment in infrastructure that will create jobs and will link the country closer together, the regions to London. So it's precisely what we need. But we are in a
But we need it now. I mean, in terms of economic boost, we need an economic boost now, not in 10 years or 20 years.
Absolutely, but it's a NIMBY bit, right? Not in my backyard, and it's getting worse and worse. It's like no hell, never in my backyard.
Interesting though, £33 billion. It's a lot of money. Has that money already been put aside for this, or is there money? When you think about maybe it is NIMBYism, not in my backyard, but people also have a valid point that this costs a lot of money, and for an economy that perhaps should be concentrating on other things.
Yes, but we all said, I mean, if you're like me, a Keynesian, you say, oh no, this hyper austerity doesn't help. Let's spend some money, let's circulate some money, let's get some people employed. So I'm all for this.
I'd like to see you in a head-on with George Osborne. But anyway, let's move on. Because Gulf News, front page of their business section, it looks at Boeing and trying to value the cost or calculate the cost of this Dreamliner grounding. Obviously, there's been problem after problem, and now all Dreamliners are on the ground until the foreseeable future. They're trying to estimate the cost of it. Give us your take on this.
Well, I think it will, as we talked last time, it always, when you have these mega projects, it's very hard. These are big projects. It's hard to get them. You really get them off the ground. There will always be problems. So I would say in the hundreds of millions to $1 billion, it will cost. I don't think it's going to be $5 billion, as they say here. But I think in the hundreds of millions, they just have to throw money at it to find out what's wrong.
And Boeing, from their point of view, will they have to sort of compensate the likes of All Nippon Airways and others who just footed an enormous bill with cancelling flights and everything else?
Absolutely. I mean, there's these contracts of purchasing an aircraft are very complex, and you could purchase the aircraft, you purchase the engine separately. And there are penalties on late delivery. There are penalties on all sorts of things. Yes, this is going to be the devil's in the detail, and it's going to see some. The lawyers are going to get rich. It's good to be a lawyer once more.
Let's talk about Queen Beatrix. This is an interesting story, abdication, and there have been lots of cartoons around the UK press because it's looking at whether or not the Queen here in the UK would abdicate and let Prince Charles at the throne. So they've been making those comparisons. But what's interesting here is Anna Holligan, our correspondent, was talking earlier and spoke about the new-to-be Queen, the wife of Prince Willem, saying that she's very glamorous and they could perhaps rival. Very beautiful. I've not seen a picture of her.
Oh, Maxima, very beautiful. But you see, the thing is, it's different in Britain because Holland has, it's a monarchy that's been only there for 200 years. I think we've had our monarchy just a little bit longer.
Well, you've done your citizenship test. You should know exactly how long.
And the other thing is, it's a monarchy that has, the grandmother of the Queen has abdicated to her mother. The mother of the Queen has abdicated to her. There is a tradition of abdication and handing over when the children are somewhere in their 40s.
Yeah, perhaps it's a little more dignified and a lot less traumatic, at least, for the citizens who obviously enjoy those who are in favour of the monarchy.
It's, as a commentator mentioned earlier, it does a lot for continuance, and it's great, continuance, and what's happening, and it's good for everybody.
Now, let's look at the front page of the Financial Times. Not its main story, but certainly an interesting one about Dijon and they're having to sell prized wine. Now, when we think of Dijon, we always think of mustard, don't we?
Yeah.
So what's this all about?
No, but Dijon is one of the is
a big area.
Is a big area, and the thing is, you know, the mayors of these countries of these great French cities have obviously a nice wine cellar, which when ambassadors come and ministers come, are able to, you know, to entertain. But I was very surprised. They only got 151 euros, 51,000 euros. I thought they ought to have done better.
Yeah, it's not much for an historic sale, is
exactly.
it? You'd kind of think they'd, if
The
they're
right
going to sell
thing
something
to do, though, you think,
that
when
important.
the coffers are empty, on, you know, for regional governments, they should flog their wine.
Why not?
Well, I was gonna say,
why not?
I just expect them to. I don't think it's right or wrong. I just think if you're going to sell something that important, get a bit more money for it.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. I'm with you.
Now, tell us about this citizenship test. What did you find interesting about it, even though you got your 100%?
Oh, I thought it was a good. I thought it was a good thing. It tests one thing. It tests, can people speak the lingua. You know, it's important that you speak English. I think if you want to be a British citizen, it's a good thing to speak English. It also tests whether you have a basic understanding of things happening. It's a multiple choice. Multiple choice.
Do you think it
question.
reflected the British people or not? The test.
I think it reflected what life in contemporary Britain is like.